What's going on, Facebook and YouTube? Welcome to Big Daddy Hacks Live. I'm your host, Big Daddy Hacks, Travis Holcomb, coming to you. We have a special interview tonight, a little roundtable with Anarchy's own Joehanna Morris and Danyelle Delligatta. Hope I say it right. It's a name that name right there just is like don't mess with. It seems like to me like Italian mafia type name. Like don't cross that person with any kind of last name like that because you're probably sleeping with the fishes. Okay, so and chop that up too bad. It's gonna be an awesome one. Can't say enough how important the women's game is. It's meant a lot to me, and even before Little Mama Hacks, with her playing and her career growth and everything else, it's important that we promote it, and it has so much potential to be bigger and grow even bigger. But we have to show it the love and the time and the attention to make it that way. And we have to show the women that are really grinding out there and making big things happen. We got to give them the attention they deserve. And Anarchy absolutely nails it out of the park by doing 2 signature bats for these ladies that are unreal. Like, they are awesome looking. And like I said, they're for the ladies, but the boys are going to want to be playing with those toys. You know what I'm saying? So we'll get them in here in a second. Just waiting for me to get loaded up. We'll try to keep this live a little shorter tonight because I believe they're both playing this weekend. And I think checking in hotels, everything else, they're coming to us from there. And I don't want to keep them up all night with it. But before we get them going in here and I see them, get them in the waiting room, share this. Make sure you share it. Speaking of sharing, we are doing a giveaway. And it's not posted up here right now. Yeah, that side. Sorry. But the giveaway was the person with the most shares gets a free giveaway, compliments of Big Daddy Hacks and Anarchy, because it'll be from the Anarchy website. And I'll let you know. And to answer the question, I had people message me. I did put it on the live. You have to go back and watch it because it clicks in at the time I put it in towards the end of Andy Purcell's live. But the winner was Daniel Holder with a couple of really good questions that he had in there. And so when we do those, like, it takes a lot of looking at it to see for what we had a lot of great conversation with Baker and with with Corny and with BJ. But question was, we had some good ones come in there, and Daniel most definitely came in with some really good ones. So Chinaman, congrats on that one, and congrats to whoever wins this one. But you got to send the screenshot of how many shares, like how many times you shared the ad, and I'll even put in there how many times you guys share this video. So if you can put both in there, it's gonna be a bang. So if you tie with somebody, like you shared the ad, 10 times and they shared it 10 times, but you shared the live 4 times, they shared it once, you win. Tiebreaker. Easy peasy, right? So anyway, I'm going to get this shared on my end of things as I'm sitting here just, fought my gums about it because it needs to be on Daddy Hacks Live, right? So here we go. There. Then we'll go back so I can see you guys commenting in the chat as you guys do, right? Go to the Big Daddy Hacks one and see if it's up there. Yeah, there it is. There we go. Good. I can see as you guys are commenting and posting here. Keep tabs on the phone here to make sure the ladies aren't having any problems. Big B, Big Brandon Bader. Big Brandon Bader, I see you with the boob. I did see your last message. I will get back to you on my thoughts on that. Quit trying to cheat, dude. You got caught on cheating, using illegal runners, and I was playing, bro. I saw your message. I'll get back to you on that. My thoughts on that. We've had some situations like that aren't that just in some local attorneys where they're not very descriptive on things or clear about the rule, and then they want to enforce something that they weren't clear about. So I totally get that. But tonight's not about the boys whining and crying about calls. It's about the ladies. And before they hop in here, I want to take a shout out to Kip. He just made a shout out to a couple boys, Levi Cheatwood, Dakota Lowry, with their the solo. Dude, this thing is sweet. Y'all seen pictures. Y'all, I mean, this is just this. Man, I need to get a green screen, so quit doing that. It does with the green screen too. But this thing is money. I've got the little solo cups. And I'm a firm believer that if you hit a solo, not all the time, but most of the time when Big Daddy Hacks does it, it starts rallies. So I'm a big believer in that. And this thing right here, I just have a feeling I'll be starting some rallies with this son bitch. This thing is sweet, man. The color combo. At first thought, I was like, you guys hear me say this one? It's cool. And then I saw the whole, you all have seen on the story, turn the bat 15 times. It's to get your all's attention. And it's supposed to be to draw you in. But I'm just like, that's what works. It gets me in there too. But the other thing I want to talk about quick, and I'll do a review on these later. I love our batting gloves. I always like how they look. But a lot of people with durability and stuff, they're hit or miss. We had some issues. And we went and have a new manufacturer making our gloves. And these things right here, absolutely sweet. You see them on the website or whatever. These are not the same gloves that we were making. That's why they're a little more expensive. That's why the old ones are on there right now for really cheap. I put them on. I haven't swung with them on yet, but I put them on. Just did a couple of dry hacks. Not in the house, little mama, if you're watching. And they felt great. So, I mean, the padding, stitching, we'll do a whole review on these. I'll go over a little bit more. But it also comes with the sweet bag. And Stormin', you got to love it. You got to love it. You got to love it. All right. Let's say made in Pakistan. Yeah. Pakistan. So, there you go. Gotta get a little drink of water. Let's see what's going on with these ladies. Hopefully they'll be checking here soon. To get this thing rolling. Like I said, I don't want to go too late tonight. Got a lot of questions for them. If you guys got questions, please post them. These women are I'm hoping to draw a lot of attention. I know sometimes we get people to watch afterwards, and I do this a lot. Like I told my wife, there's a lot for her team. Her running the Minnesota Anarchy team, women's D team, as they're coming up and getting better and learning and growing. I think, Brandon and myself, we coach, we help the local community out. In the wintertime, we do a lot of hitting and working with men and women, but really enjoy when we can work with the female athletes and see them progress and become better. But it's one thing hearing something from us. It's another thing to hear it from another woman athlete that has done it. And it shows it can be done. And to me, that's really important that we give them the opportunities to speak on this, because it's to grow the platform all the way around, right? It's to grow slow pitch, not just men's slow pitch, but slow pitch as a whole. And to do that, I think the women's division is awesome for it, because they bring a lot of energy. They do a lot of things that they're not afraid to be loud. They're not afraid to, when their huddles are it's a whole different type of huddle with them than it is, I think, on men's. They bring it. And it's fun when you get teams that are really two teams, especially that are going at it, that are hyped up like that. It's a fun atmosphere to be around. And I've always enjoyed it. So let's see here real quick. I was also going to try to work on the screen sharing. We got Danyelle in the waiting room. Let's add her. Boom. She's added in. Can you hear me?
How's it going, man?
I can hear you. Perfect. This format, this thing has been a learning process. But on Zoom, I used to have so many times get started in.
Now I can't hear. Like, I could hear you okay at first, and now I can't hear you very well.
It might be just like on the click, taking a second to load. It does it to me too. That's why I went to earbuds. Usually I have speakers, and for whatever reason, even on Zoom, it started getting to where when you all would talk, it was so quiet, even with the volume turned up. So I had to go to earbuds. But we're just waiting on Joehanna. But how are you been doing?
Not bad. Just made it to Maryland about an hour and a half ago. I think we got here.
Wow. What time do you play?
8:00.
Yeah. I kind of put the warning out there. There's so much I want to talk to you ladies about. And if you've watched Danny Purcell, or usually when we have Whaley on here, they go along. But I was like, I want to bring you guys both back on, and I want to do some more roundtables and that format as we talk more about Anarchy, what Anarchy is doing. As we talk about the women's game, there's so much area to cover. So don't think that even if we do this a little bit short, because you have ball to play, and that's the key, right? That's what you're there to do. We need you at your best representing. So we'll most definitely do a follow up and do some roundtables in the future where we can cover some more topics. But I bet you all are just pumped right now, huh? With the bat drop.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been it's been crazy. Just like from the time that Ricky messaged us saying that he wanted to, do like a signature model for the both of us and stuff. Like, I don't know. It's something that, like, obviously you always talk about, like, from the time like playing D-ball and stuff like that. Like, man, like one day I want to have my name on a bat, you know what I mean? And then for it to actually happen, like, I don't know. It's just crazy. Like I just can't wait to see like other people swinging it and see what they think and stuff like that. It's been pretty exciting for sure.
Yeah, that's what's huge because just talking to a lot of the people out of that like Nate Buck, having him on and doing the interview with him. He wanted to come on for so long, and I knew that he was going to get his bat, and I'm like, I didn't know if he knew like how much of a surprise or how much interaction he had on it. And then when he wrote me, say, "Hey, I'm getting this," I'm like, "Bet." And then I kind of told him, "Hey, that's why I've been waiting to do your interview." But it just seeing his excitement, like how hard he's fought for it, grinding for it. And you ladies, like most definitely, I think sometimes people don't realize how much work you all put in to get to that next level. And I think from the women's side too, it's probably more common to come up from like ED, C, and then make it to a women's conference team. Where a lot of men nowadays, you notice there's some guys that didn't play lower class. I came up playing ED, C, and then make it right. And sometimes people just get that jump. And so I think for the women's side, it's more common for y'all to battle like those strides. And I think it's important because you learn so much at that lower level, and I think you appreciate it more. And especially now to work, like, look at all the people that you played with that didn't get the opportunity or haven't made it yet, put it yet in there. And now you have a signature bat. You both do. You know what I mean? It's like, that's pretty cool. That doesn't like put it out there like, hey, you got to believe it. You got to work for it. It can happen. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely like just like having the opportunity to come on and like I exclusively swung Anarchy for like a couple years, and Ryan Mullins, one of my buddies, we're both from the Cincinnati area, and I would always just joke with him and be like, "Hey man, like like tell your people girl, you know what I mean?" Like it's like I wanted, like, even if it was just like as a rep or like whatever, you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to be a part of it, and then like when they called me and were like, "Hey, like we want to bring you on the pro team," I was just like, "What?" Like I was just blown away by it, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, like for them to like give us the opportunity to both have signature models, I'm just like I said, it just doesn't even feel real at this point. Like the fact that like my bat is on the website right now is just crazy.
Let's hear a little bit from you, Joanna. How are you feeling?
It's surreal. I can't tell you how many times I've checked the site just to see my name on there as my own bat. Like Danyelle said, it's crazy for sure. But to know that we can kind of like help spread awareness for the women's side as well, to let them see, like you said, women can do it. Like here we are, we've got our names on the bats, we've busted our butts to get here, and it's just nice to be able to show these women, you can do it. Like you don't have to be some extraordinary superhero. Like it's not, you don't have to have that.
Oh, the cool thing too is like I give this to our graphics team. They are killing every bat that's dropped this year. It's been unreal. And if you look in the past, like when Mike and a few other companies did a release where it was either a co-signature and they let some of their female athletes on it, or they did just a female athlete's bat, it struggled with sales because they made it was so much like for a guy to buy it, guys were only buying it because they thought it had a girl's name on it, so it'd be hotter, But the looks department, it was kind of like, I can see that being a chick bat. It's kind of girly. And y'all's bats are like aggressive. I'm like, this is awesome. That's why I said it's for the ladies, but the boys are going to want it. And speaking of that, like I knew, I was like that red combo with that thing, it just looks like what we've kind of done with the Fenrir and some of the other bats. It just goes right into that flow of things. And then you got the Moonchild, and I'm like, it's just like, to me, it's like taking the Aurora and how popular that graphic has been. And if you're from the North, it's like, we love it because it's like a Northern Lights thing and it kind of fits right in, right? But if you look at that could be considered like with the color combo, like that looks like something my wife would want to swing. And I'm like, but if I was in Florida, I might go, yeah, it's like when I lived in Florida. Coming back up here, I appreciate it for the Northern Lights. I'm like, yo, that's like a Minnesota bat. That's a Northern bat. But the graphics right there, you take the Moonshot, and it's like taking that and just amplifying it and adding that artwork into it. And I'm like, that color scheme is so popular and hot right now, and the way it looks. And I've had more guys hit me up about that Moonshot than the females. They're like, I've had a bunch of ladies hit me up, but I've had so many guys, even in my team chat for my player reps, they're like, bro, I gotta get my hands on that Moonshot. I'm like, dude, that thing's sick. So what was your? I mean, we can get into like the history. You guys come up. We talked about a little bit with playing the different levels, but what was your guys' factoring for each of your bats? What inspired them?
For mine, I've always been a night owl personally. purple and black are my favorite colors. So whenever we were brought the idea of our own bats, ultimately that's what I wanted to stick with. Something lunar. And then Danyelle actually gave me the name for it because she said, I'm just going to call you Moonchild from here on out as like a joke. And I was like, okay, you sold me. Like that's got to be the name. And I don't know. I wanted it to be different. And I definitely think it is. But like you said, like I didn't want it to be super girly just because that's not who I am as a person. I don't think me or Danny are really, but we wanted something that definitely fit our personalities. And I think my bat, if you knew me outside of softball, is to a T my personality.
Yeah, it was something that like we kind of talked about from like the initial conversation with Ricky is like we wanted both of them like to kind of be like the same type of theme. So like we talked about couple different things. Like we talked about, so like I'm Italian and Joe is Native American. So like we talked about maybe doing something along those lines. And then we kind of talked about like maybe like superheroes, and like that would be hard because of like copyright infringements and whatnot. So we just settled on like Greek mythology, which, you know, kind of fell right in line with Slicker's bat too, which was completely incidental, honestly. But like, so from there, we're just kind of like, all right, like what, like which one, like, do you feel like represents you the best? You know what I mean? And Joe is immediately like, yeah, like Celine, like I'm just such like, you know, about the moon or whatever. And I was like, yeah, like I'm gonna go with Athena because like let's fuck shit up, you know what I mean? And then like just the graphic with like the building like on fire in the background and stuff, I was like, that's sick. And like I wanted it kind of like you said, like I wanted it to be something that like represents like kind of like that female like strength and power, but like also not something that's like so girly that a dude wouldn't want to buy it. Cause like, you know, obviously I want everybody to be able to swing it. And I don't know. Like, I think that, you know, Ricky and the design team, like they absolutely killed it. Like I could not have envisioned it like turning out any better than it did. Like I got them yesterday and like I was just like standing there looking, I was like, these turned out so good. Like I was just so excited about just the way that it looks. And like everything was just exactly the way that I wanted it. I'm super happy with it.
Yeah. I had to put in there, like, these are two of the, I think probably the sickest bats that we've made so far. And just coming into the whole theme that we've had this year, and we've taken it up like just a whole other notch with everything that we've done. And these two dropping, it was a surprise because I knew of some people that had bats dropping, but I didn't know about your two bats. So it surprised me, and I was like, wow, these are fucking awesome, you know? So, and when I put those posts out there, it's easy to say every bat, like everybody's like, that bat's gas, that bat's fire. And I like to be honest to a fault, you know, and I put it out there and I say something about it, I want them to believe it. Otherwise, you just say everything's whatever. And there's a lot of bats that look really sick. Like before you guys up on, I showed the solo off and I was like, hey, I was honest. I was like, I saw it, I was like, yeah, it's all right. And then I saw them do the whole, you know, how our videos with the birds chirping in the background in the parking lot, spinning the bat. And I'm like, oh, fuck, that bat's fucking good looking. Like, I like that. And then the end load. And so, like I said, little mama ordered that one for me because I kept talking about it. And I was just more surprised on how it flipped, because sometimes you see a mock-up of something and you're like, either you're like, oh, that's going to be dirty, or you're like, and then you see the real thing and you're like, oh man, I slept on that. But then I didn't even see a mock-up, because, you know, Kevin usually sends me some of the sneakers knowing that I'm going to do a live or set something up. And we just been both so busy, we haven't been able to talk a whole lot. And when they dropped, I wrote them and said, yo, these bats dropping are sick. I'm like, these are awesome. And I think, you know, get your guys' viewpoints on this, but I think so many times it's the boys versus the girls, you know, and the other co-eds and stuff. But like, I think it's better when you can get, not that the boys' bats are better or the girls' bats are better, but when you can get the boys want to be a part of what the girls got. Like, you guys have been swinging how many bats that you've swung or this or that, a model, because it's been this person's or that person's. And now you're going to have the boys coming back and being a part of it, want to swing your models. And I think that's really sick.
Yeah, I know for the longest time, like I swung a KP before we switched to like the 240s and whatnot. So yeah, like that's definitely, I don't know, like I think probably what I'm looking forward to most is just like, you know, like a lot of my friends, and honestly, like majority of them being men, bought, like have, you know, ordered like bats or whatever. So like just to be able to see, like we have a huge tournament coming up here in Cincinnati It's called the Cincy Metro. It lasts like 2 weeks long. Like we all call it like Christmas in July. Like it's just an absolute blast. And it's a provided bat tournament, but if you're a contracted player, like you just basically bring your contract and you can, put a bat in the bucket. So like, I'm super excited to have my bat in there. So like other people can try and get their hands on it. Cause that's actually what brought me to Anarchy was playing in the Metro. Mullen had an Anarchy in the bucket and I had swung everything in these buckets and like, I didn't like any of it. And then finally I was like, you know what? Like, I'll try this. And I swung it and like I just instantly, like I messaged him right after the tournament. I was like, bro, I don't know what that bat was, but I want one. And like I just never looked back from Anarchy ever since.
How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I think that's the most exciting part for me is just to see my friends, like you said, men and women, but more so the men because like she said, swinging KP, I swung his bat for years and just couldn't ever get away from it. And then lo and behold, here come Coda and Levi with an Anarchy and it was the silver 240, of course. Joe, this is gas. You got to swing it. You got to swing it. So I swung it, and I mean, about like she said again, I never looked back. So I'm excited to see my bat in my friends' hands.
It's great too because you both have one's a 12-inch barrel, one's a 13. Are they both half ounces? Or is one a full ounce? They're both half.
They're both half ounce. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's such a good half. Like is such a. I think it used to be balance and then end load, right? And balance, everybody loved balance because it was just a balanced swing. And I think half to me now has become like a new balance. It just feels so smooth through the zone. And then the extra end load for a few where they want to sit on it. Like if your job is to just hit donkey bombs or whatever, then having a little end load's fine. But I think having the back control wise, that half is such a smooth feel, especially in ours. Like the radioactive, a lot of my teammates swing that one and they absolutely love it. And there's times I've gone to it, which I swing the atomic a lot or the apocalyptic or the open season, some of the 1 ounce end load. But when I go back to the radioactive, sometimes I'm like, oh man, that thing is fun to swing. Like, but there's so many guys swinging it that I try to show off the other bats. So, but I brought it up to you before you guys come on. I said, I'm pretty sure this name's Italian. I don't want to mess it up because she's got like one of those, like just seeing her play ball and the kind of person she is. I was like, she's probably from a family where if you mess this up, you might be sleeping with the fishes. And I thought that too. That would have been another good theme for the future, for volume 2. You can always go with that like mafia theme, because you got the name for it. And then Joe, with yours, like just from the native background, I think that's another thing. Like I talked to Josh Marlowe, who I brought in to be part of player rep under me, because he was swinging Anarchy before I knew what Anarchy was, and he was just so loyal to it and a part of it. And he's a heck of an athlete playing with Duck Tech, one of our top ASA teams here out in Minnesota, and he plays with us for U-Trip. And he's a guy I always say that it's about someone seeing him and giving the opportunity, and it's going to be the sky's the limit for him from there because he's got all the tools. But from the native side, I've told him, like, I watch when he's playing, and it's something that I played in the BSC and some other things. I've always wanted to be a part and play in a native tournament. It just hasn't worked out schedule-wise. And because I had native heritage as well, I just don't show it as much. It's like the tan when everybody's like, how'd you get so dark? It's like, because I'm 119th Cherokee or 188th, I think I say. I always change the numbers up to mess around. And I always do it to like Marlo or somebody when they say something like, how do you get so dark? I'm like, dude, I'm like 180th Cherokee. You should get some native in you or something. I mess with them. But you have a lot that you can do with there too. The Moonchild is such a sick bat, and there's such a culture there. And I like seeing that from, just talking about the ladies, like you all getting your recognition finally, I think is huge in Anarchy, what they're doing. And then also being able to do it at that native side as well. You're hitting like dual platforms here, and that's awesome, So I think that's really sick. And Danielle, like I said, I'm gonna give you nothing but blessings and compliments because you come from probably a pretty deadly family. So, but what are you guys looking forward to here this next coming? Like go throughout the final, like because we're getting right now, we're like that turning point of getting ready for Worlds. Your bat's dropped, right? You're both playing. What's your goals kind of going forward here?
I think for me, so my team, we're a first year conference A team. A lot of us have played together in the past, but we're coming off some strong performances and heading, and we should hopefully, the goal is to do well this weekend, and it's going to be a really good chance to kind of see where we stack up in A, because it's just 4 A teams and 4 B teams. There's no major teams here this weekend. So, for me personally, I'm just focused on just finishing out the season strong and heading into Worlds and with like the momentum in our favor. You know what I mean? Like a few of us on the team are coming off a U-Trip B win last year. So hoping to back to back, but we'll see how it goes. So, I mean, like for me, it's just all about like just helping my team and just, continuing in the right direction. We've had a really strong season so far and seen a lot of good things. So I'm anxious to get out there on the field tomorrow and just, go at it with the squad.
What's you, Joe?
I think about the same. I'm anxious to see how Worlds ends up. My team, we've come off a lot of injuries and babies and all the fun stuff that life has to offer. So it's kind of been a struggle, but we're making a comeback, and being a first-year team at this level it can be hard and it can be, discouraging sometimes, but it's nice just going to battle with girls that, you trust and you love, and they're your family. And then, of course, to me personally, the competition it's always ideal too. Cause, playing friends like Danny and, I have a bunch of other girlfriends on other teams. I think that's the best part to me, is just knowing that while I would like to win, the companionship that I leave the field with regardless, that's the biggest part. But I don't know. I guess we'll see how it all ends out.
I've had so many questions, like so many categories to hit, and you brought up like where you ladies, I keep saying guys, I'm so used to like just letting that roll out there. But what the plans are rolling forward with your teams and having the success you had last year, and that's huge. Like winning, every time you win a world, it's a huge feeling. When you win it at the higher level, it's got to be even more because you came up, playing from the lower levels coming on up. And one of the things I'm looking forward to as we go down the Worlds, because I always go over like my wife came with me, we went and watched, because as she's coming up, I want her to see the difference in the levels of ball. And I also wanted her to see like the good with the bad, to show her that, this is doable for you when you're ready for it. You just got to want it. You're going to have to put the work in, but I don't want you to think it's out of your reach. Like it's there, you could do it. And because not every female athlete that's playing is the caliber of you two either. They don't hit it like you two. There's a lot there, but it's about consistency in the grind. And I'm looking forward to this year is going out there and not just watching it and supporting it, but seeing multiple ladies that are under contract with somebody else swinging your bats. I think that's going to be sick this year, because it's going to be something new. You know what I mean? It's going to be something different, something that we haven't done. And I think that's going to be exciting. And that's what I'm looking forward to, coming and watching y'all. Coming up in the game, I know, Danyelle, you talked about your levels are coming up. Joe, where did you start at? What was your journey coming into playing at the upper levels?
So if we're being completely honest, from the very beginning, I didn't even like softball. I actually hated it. Didn't want to play. My dad didn't give me an option. He was like, "You're playing." So at 8, I started. I played collegiate ball at a JUCO here, about 45 minutes from where I grew up. And then at a D2 school, about an hour and a half from where I grew up. I've always kind of played adult league or adult ball, I guess you could call it. I originally started when I was 12 around here, church league, rec, all that. Eventually worked my way up. A couple years ago, my brother's friend, her dad actually wanted to sponsor a team. So we threw a D team together right before WSL Worlds, which we ended up winning. They bumped us the night before our first game. They bumped us to C. So we went and won that, and then we got bumped to B and U-Trip immediately after. Told us it didn't matter, and then we've just been kind of grinding our way up since then. And it's a blessing to be where I'm at, that's for sure.
So you both kind of came up that same way, playing, from the lower level coming on up. What's the biggest difference? From the women's side, we talk about it from the men's side of it all the time and everything, but what's the biggest difference you think from the women's side, the women's point of view, from playing from that EDC level to the conference level?
In my opinion, I think it's just, I've said it time and time again with men's and women's both, it's just minimal mistakes. It's knowing what you're going to do before it happens. You have to anticipate that every next step of the game, just so that you're one step ahead of the other team, one step ahead of the other player. In my opinion, I feel like that's what you really need to just really take away with it.
What's your thoughts?
I think one of the biggest differences, like from especially like making the jump from like C into the conference, is honestly just the consistency. Like it's something that like us A and B teams struggle with, that like really keeps us from like knocking off those major teams and stuff like that. It's like just their consistency at the plate. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very rare that you hold those major teams to scoreless innings. Whereas, you know, like as an A team, like there's some times where we don't score in an inning. And I think that is really like what sets like people, like it sets the teams apart. And then just like on like more of like a player by player basis, like, you know, like when I was in D, like I would go hit if I wanted to, or like even in C, like I'd go take BP or whatever, like if I felt like it, you know what I mean? But now like moving up to this level, it's like you have to put the work in. Like you've got to go take BP. You've got to, you know, stay in shape. Like you have to do all those things to really, like if you really want to compete, like those are things that you have to do. But like honestly, like even just from like B to A to major, like just the biggest difference that sets those major teams apart is just their level of consistency. I mean, I would say like probably as a team, those major teams, they're averaging like 650, 700 as a team every tournament. And like, that's tough. You know what I mean? Like it's different in women's. Like if you're batting, like, I think there's like 8 women in the conference right now batting over 700. So like, I know it's different for men. There's a lot of guys who like, you know, hit over 700, but like, we don't have the opportunity to just like hit a couple balls over the fence at will to, you know, help our average if we're struggling or whatever. So, I mean, really like if you can hit that like 550 mark in women's, like that's like doing pretty good. You know what I mean? Like if you're hitting like 600 or like above that, like you're going to be probably close to the top 50 in the conference. But yeah, when you start to put together like tournaments where you're batting 650, 700 as a team, like that's when you're going to really start like really see the results.
Yeah, consistency is key for the upper level, and particularly a lot of the people that I work with. That I think a lot of people, like everybody's dream is to play it. Not everybody's going to do it. And the ones that come to me, and because I've given a lot of opportunities, when I go to Texas, got so many like open tournaments and stuff, and I'll go down and play in a lot of those with some of the guys. And like this, you're taking really the year off from the full-time conference schedule, but going to the events and still playing in some of the ones to keep our names relevant, because you know how it goes to even in the men's side, if you disappear, you get forgotten about quick. So it's to keep our names relevant, but it's also to give some people opportunities to get seen, and if they get picked up by somebody else, great. And one of the biggest things I tell people is like, I'll give you a shot to get there. Whether you stay is on you. But yes, you have moments that you have been great and you've caught my attention, but you got to be consistent with it, because you might not get a phone call after your first really good tournament. They might go, oh, that's somebody we need to watch. And you might be 2, 3, 4, and you might be starting to wonder if it's worth it. Like you're traveling, you're paying on your pocket, you're doing these things to get seen, and is it worth it? And then all of a sudden you get that phone call. You know, we've been watching you for a while, or we've been checking you out, or we want to give you an opportunity. And a lot of it's just that consistency, because they want to see that. It's not even about pitching good. Yeah, you pitched really great, but you played 3 games. Could you do that for 8? Could you do that when we get deep into a tournament? You know, there's a lot there. And I know the women's side, y'all deal with a lot of other like outside obstacles, like you brought up, like with your team, Joanna, like with women getting pregnant. We might have some guys that look like they got pregnant, but we don't have that issue, you know. And that kind of stuff happens. My wife's team, prime example, they've had a lot of their key people pregnant, you know. So it's been tough. They had a revamp year this year, and she's rolled with it. But you know, with that, it's something that you all overcome, and it's a challenge that you all face and seem to make it work. Now, my question is, so how often do you guys get to play against each other?
I think we've just played each other. Our teams played each other one time. It was at the Bush, but Joe couldn't make it to that tournament. So I was like messaging her. I was like, "Where are you at? Like, we're about to play each other. Why aren't you here?" But yeah, besides that, because like you guys are based out of what, Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we're based out of Indiana, so like we play in like a lot of different tournaments. So we don't really see each other all that often.
No.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome. Like just to see the two bats go up against each other. And both y'all have such a same, like similar to work, like the work ethic and then just your play ethic. Like those videos, you know, to do the ad, I cut them down and edited them up. But you both hit a couple absolute no doubters. You can hear the bat and go, that ball's way the fuck out of here. And y'all just took off down the baseline, like not fucking around. And then you see everybody come walking back, and I go, that's awesome, because a lot of people don't, you know, they'll sit and kind of. And the one, you gotta go slow up, like, oh, I gotta go. And then came back, and I go, they both just hustled so hard out the box in every hit. And you see that in common. I was like, that's awesome. You guys bring a lot of that energy. And that was the next thing I wanted to roll into. You know, you guys, you have a lot of friends on the male side of things, and we all watch each other play and support. What's the difference? What's with the energy? Why is the women's side of it? It just seems like y'all have so much more out of the dugout and your huddles, like on the field with just bringing like the voices. Why do you think that is? Like, what brings that? Like, I'd love to see more men's teams be like that, to just be more energetic and loud like that.
I think just personally, like in the women's game, like energy wins ball games. Because like I said, like we don't, it's not like we can be like, oh man, like, you know, we're chasing 3 runs here. Like, all right, get a couple runners on, like send one out, the game's tied. Like it's energy that like keeps you going. And like a lot of times, like, and I've seen it out of our team, like we played in a One Nation tournament this past weekend in Indiana, and like all day, like we just had no energy. And like, to be completely honest, like we played like absolute shit. Like we almost got beat by a C team in the championship, like because we just didn't have energy. Like I don't know what the reason is behind it, but it honestly, like the energy and the vibe in the women's game, like sometimes it can like win or lose you ball games.
Absolutely agree. I think another part of it is too is women don't care to make a fool of themselves when they're caught up in the heat of the game. Honestly, because I'm definitely one on my team who will be the loudest person on the field when I feel like the opportunity is right. But I definitely feel like it can make or break a team for sure.
I also think that like it's not something that like we talk about a ton, but like there's not even close to the amount of money in the women's game that there is in the men's game. Like most of us, most of us pay, like our hotels and stuff are paid for, but like we pay to get to ourselves a tournament. There's maybe like a handful of teams in the women's conference that pay for your flights and stuff. Like we're here because we want to be. Like we're not getting weekend money. We're not getting our travel's not paid for. Like we're literally here because we want to be. Like every single person on my team, like they're my friends. You know what I mean? We literally rolled 5 deep in an Equinox to Maryland today. Like, and we just had fun the whole way here. Cause like, we're all like legitimately outside of this. And like, I don't know if it's this way in the men's game, but like legitimately outside of this, like we're all friends. So like, I'm here. Like if I'm not having fun, I have no reason to be here. You know what I mean? Like I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm spending money to do this. So it's like, if I'm not having fun, then, you know, like, yeah, I want to play at the highest level. I want to compete and like, I want to win because losing's not fun. But like ultimately it's like, I think that maybe we just play more loose because like we are like, cause we're not getting paid. We're not getting the travel money and all that. You know what I mean? Like it's still really serious, but it's just like, I think that a lot of more women have that mindset of like, if we're not having fun, it's really pointless for us to be here because there's no money involved.
Yeah. No, that's very well said. And I think you brought up too about the energy, like energy wins ball games because you don't have, you know, a few people in your lineup can hit the automatic, hit a 3-run shot, 2-run shot. We'll bring this game right back in here. And I preach this to when I'm helping coach my wife's team was momentum. You know, momentum is a motherfucker. And it seems like you have those innings where you can't make an out. Your whole team's hitting it. You're getting all the hops, all the breaks, and everything's going your way. And then it seems like it can flip-flop easily. And now you're pissing on it. You're hitting these hard shots, and it's just one hops to their glove. They're making great plays on you, and they're miss-hitting or they're doing whatever, and they just can't see, like you can't catch a break to make the out. And I think a lot of that comes from the energy, though, because you start feeling that shift to momentum and people get quiet. You know, and what I notice is watching the women's, like my wife's team and some of the lower levels, they get quiet, much like the men. You know, like it's very much a mental case. Like there's a lot of guys who I don't make a lot of noise because I show it on the field. That's great. I'm all about that. I make a lot of noise. I talk a lot. But quiet can turn into flat real quick. And I noticed like with the upper level, when y'all have your battles, it goes back and forth just like the men's. It can go back and forth with that score real quick. But it seems like when you're up, you're loud. When you're down, you're even louder. And I love that because I think that is how you change momentum, is you got to bring that energy back to shift the momentum back in your favor. And it's just awesome how you guys bring that to the table, like you said, and then the love of it. You know, we're playing because of the love of it, and I think that's a big part of it too. When I've been out filming or done some off of the sidelines with any of the female athletes, that's one of the things that's consistent. I've never met anyone yet from the female side of the game that's acted entitled or like they deserve or like they're owed something. They're there because they love the game and they're playing hard. And you're all just as competitive. You're all just as hard as on yourselves, and you make outs and whatever. You know, sometimes I'm like, I'm going to go ask her if she wants to do a live quick, but I'm going to give her a few minutes because the last at bat was a little shaky, you know? So, but what's been one of the biggest learning things for you both as you've come up?
I think personally for me is patience. I've had to learn to be patient with myself and give myself grace because I know my ability and I anticipate myself to do better. But like you said, you know, there's still days where I don't bat 1,000 or even over 500. And there's days where I should have caught a ball that was hit my direction. So working my way up has definitely been, to not stop this little things because that makes the biggest difference, but to also just give myself enough grace to know that I'm not a robot. I'm not a machine. I'm human. I'm going to mess up. Slumps are going to come and go, but there's always tomorrow. There's always the next game. There's always the next at bat. That's what I've really had to grasp onto.
I think it's kind of the same as what Joe said. Like, coming out of like the NC ball, like my last year in C, I batted like over 700. And then like my first year in the conference, I batted like mid 500s, maybe. You know what I mean? So it's like, see like 150, 200 point drop in your OBP, and you're like, damn, I suck. Like, and like, obviously like over the past couple of years, like it's gotten better, but like, you just don't realize like when you take that jump, like that shortstop, like that ball that like hit that hole in C, like it's not a hole now in the conference. Like, that ball that fell in between the right and left center fielder, like that's not going to fall now. So just like, I guess like just kind of having grace with yourself and being like willing to, like, yeah, like I had a bad game, had a bad at bat, had maybe even had a bad tournament, but like you just got to bounce back from it and just keep putting work in. And, like I think for me, like one of the biggest differences is like when I do go hit, like hitting with intention and not just going to hit to swing. So like, working different scenarios in your head, like, all right, like I'm against a 5-man, like I need to work my gaps. Like, all right, it's a 4-man, like I need to, hit the middle, whatever. But like taking BP with intention, and like also like when you don't hit that hole, you work so much on hitting, like is to have grace with yourself and realize like you're playing against like the top level talent that the game has to offer. So
you brought up a good point too with the defense and just the difference of caliber with the holes and stuff. And then, like I tell people at the men's, like we get, you get people come up like, hey, I want a shot opportunity. Hey, I had a good weekend. I batted this. I batted that. And I'm like, that's awesome. But what kind of tournament did you play? Were you playing an open tournament? You played against like a couple of the upper teams and you batted like that? Or were you playing in your bracket? Because you got to shave a little bit off that when you're playing against an upper team. You got to think about it that way. So there's times I look at my average and I batted 900 on the book, but I know I really batted like 7 because those wouldn't have been hits in a real real game, what I consider a real game. And so I try to preach that to people. But also the other thing that makes a big difference, I know from the men's side, is, yeah, great, you hit really awesome, but you weren't facing Travis Clark. You weren't facing. So for you ladies, who's one of the biggest threats on the mound for y'all? Like when you go up there, who's one of the better pitchers for the Milo side? Because we don't talk about that a whole lot. It doesn't get brought up a lot. So I think that's another thing that very much should be talked about, because there's some pretty damn good female pitchers out there too.
Yeah, one pitcher I definitely, not that I love to face her because I know it's a challenge and I love a good challenge, is Tara. She used to pitch for the Derby Girls. I believe she's with Incognito now. She's a hell of a pitcher. She has my respect for sure.
I think for me personally, Tara's obviously, I mean, she's a goat. Like and Tara's awesome too. Like we play for our Challenge Cup team together, and she kills it out there. She's tough to hit off of. But Stacey Moore, man, I've seen Stacey Moore make some people look silly on the mound. Like she definitely, she's got a nasty backspin pitch that like I've seen her make so many girls foul out. And then like honestly, my fiance, she pitches for us for Legacy, and like I'm like not just saying this because she's my fiance, but like she's a dog out there. Like even some of like sometimes we have umps that are like men, and they're like, damn, like I've never seen a girl move a ball like that before. You know what I mean? So like she's nasty out there too, and she mixes it up, and she definitely has her way with some batters for sure.
I say this all the time because I'll play a co-ed, and if it's been a while, I'll walk some people because the fucking ball is so small and it's hard. Like I go, and then like throwing it, and I go, I think we got this backwards. I think y'all should be hitting a 12-inch super hard ball, and we should be hitting that damn 11-inch, because that ball, like we've done derbies. We're like, hey, we're gonna hit a women's ball in the derby. I'm like, awesome. And I watched so many people hit line drives or top it or pop up because they're over swinging, and I'm like, dude, you gotta treat that ball almost like a stadium where you better just like 3/4 swing, make good contact. I said that ball is a bitch to like control. You hit it, but like it's a struggle. So when I see somebody make a ball like that move, I'm like, ooh, Yeah, that's impressive. Like they're not the easiest.
Yeah, but, she does say all the time, she's like, I prefer to pitch a men's ball. And even the guys say that. They're like, it's so much easier to make it move and whatnot. But like she said before, she's like, it's so much easier to pitch a men's ball. She's like, it's hard to get the women's ball to do anything. Just it's like it's smaller and like it doesn't like catch the air the same way. Like, I don't know, but she got more balls than me because I ain't getting out on the mound.
So I know, Joe, you said you came out playing as a kid, playing slow pitching and in a softball and everything. Danyelle, did you play fast pitch at all, or did you just come right into like more playing slow pitch?
No, kind of like Joe. I started playing travel fast pitch when I was like 8, and then I played at a D2 school in Columbus called Ohio Dominican in college. And then, honestly, coming out of college, I hated softball. I had a really bad experience. I actually quit after 2 years, and then it was maybe like 6 months after I got out of school. I was hanging out with some friends and they were playing a like all-nighter in Columbus, and they were like, one of their girls had to leave and they were like, do you have ball stuff? Can you play? I was like, I mean, I guess, you know what I mean? So I went out there and finished, and like after that I was just like, I was hooked. I was like, this is like, cause it was actually fun again. You know what I mean? Like I had spent so many years, like honestly, probably from the time that I was like 14, like it was just a job. Like it was constant, like, oh, well, like, you know, you got to work on this. And like, it was fun, but I had been playing travel ball since I was 8 years old. And like, I just got burnt out on it. And like, obviously, like I'm so grateful to my parents for like the money that they invested and the time that they invested and everything else they give me, the opportunities that I had. But like, I was just so focused from such a young age on one thing, and that was playing college fast pitch, that like, I just burnt myself out to the time that like, when I got to college, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And, you know, there's something I was going to ask. The reason why I was asking that is the conversion of your game, like what you've had to change, converting from like fast pitch to slow pitch to be dominant, you know, little things. Because defensive wise, like baseball, people that play baseball that all their life, you know, transitioning to slow pitch, there's a few things they got to change a little bit, especially for outfilders and stuff. They got to learn when to take the breaks. You can't try to gas everybody out. They're not getting a ball every 8 batters. They're getting a ball like every other batter, you know, stuff like that. But other than that, the setting up and the fundamentals and the play wise, they kind of have that advantage from growing up and learning all those things. That'd be second nature. Hitting slow pitch is a lot different than hitting a baseball. There's advantages to converting your swing into that more slow pitch softball swing and using the two. There's obviously tools from both. But I know a lot of times from the female side, when I get a lot of the athletes that come out of fast pitch, teaching them that, you know, the ball's not coming in, you know, 60, 70 miles per hour, which is the equivalent, you know, for baseball, like over 100. You can't just meet it, you know, right in the zone and let the ball do the work. You have to go out and get it and produce that power because it's coming in a lot slower. And just some of those conversions take a little bit of time. But was there anything you all did to work on converting your swings? Because y'all got to snap. Like I talk about the snap and the swing, and that's a lot of times when I get like videos that you send me, I show to my wife and stuff because I want her to see what I'm talking about. That follow through, that snap as you hit it, you know, the bat and your follow through coming out, because a lot of fast pitch, you know, it's that short follow through, and you all have converted to get that longer slow pitch follow through because you're really snapping on it and your hands are coming through it. Was there something that you specifically worked on to convert? Sorry, I kind of stopped.
I think my biggest conversion was I couldn't stay back on the ball, so I had to be patient. So I focused on pushing, and that helped me, you know, get my timing down to where if I wanted to pull it, I could pull it. If I want to hit middle, I hit middle. If I want to hit the right side line, I'm going to hit it. But growing up, I did play slow pitch because that's all we had here in Oklahoma. I didn't play fast pitch until I was in, I don't know, 6th or 7th grade probably. So slow pitch to me was always second nature, you know. But that was my biggest conversion point that I had to really press in my mind, was the patience and staying back and knowing that my hands are quick enough that no matter where the ball is at, I'm going to get to it and I'm going to get through it hard.
Yeah, I think for me, like the biggest thing that I had to work on, like you said, is just generating that power. Like I tell everybody, like I'm a big girl, you know what I mean? Like I'm not petite by any means, but like I put every ounce of my body into my swing, like, because like you said, like you have to generate that power. Like it's not going to come from, you know, the velocity of the pitch. So yeah, like I don't know that, honestly, like I don't know that there was anything I was ever like, man, like I gotta fix this, because like I was never like early on the ball like a lot of girls you see coming out of fast pitch. It was more of like just kind of like figuring out like that, like I guess that like the launch angle. Because when I first started, it was more like, you know, a lot of like ground balls up the middle and stuff like that, and just like trying to figure out how to like get that spin on the ball and get it up off the ground. It was more that than anything.
Yeah, that was a conversion I actually reached out to Big D about, because I was giving lessons on mechanics and how to, like swing through the ball, like go out and get it. Because I noticed a lot of the girls when they came on fast pitch, they would go middle backside, and they had success pissing on the ball, but couldn't pull it. For every time I went to pull it, it was hard ground or topped. And it was because they couldn't time it, and they didn't extend it on that back foot instead of going out and getting it and driving it. But I also would work with them the same way with the men's about like kind of cutting through the ball. And it was Big B that kind of like put it on and said, hey, but you can't teach the same cut like you would on a 12-inch ball because it's 11-inch. When they hit it, boy, they're going to piss on it. And we had one girl that was absolutely like 98, she like I think 101 a couple different times, just at hit tracks. And I was like, holy shit. And she did. When she was hitting it, it was fun to watch. But her misses were so bad because she was trying to cut it so much like how I would cut it. And it taught me more like let your hands cut it. Like throw your hands at it, like you said, so that way you can put every ounce of you through that ball and let your hands do the spinning and cutting through it, and not so much trying to let your body or anything else cut the ball. And there's little things to the mechanics that they had to learn that are different for when you're working with a female athlete. But that's good to hear, because I can work, like I said before I brought you guys on, I can work with women athletes all day long and work with them. But to hear it from y'all means a lot more, because you had to do it, and it worked. And they're hearing it from you. And obviously you had a lot of success with it, and everybody's is a little different. I think the base mechanics, like when you're making contact with that ball, the ones that have success, you watch any video, no matter how they started their stance or whatever, that's all the same as they're making contact and going through it. But everybody's stance and everything else is a little different, or they're where they are in the box or whatnot. And so I always like to pick people's brains and see where it's at, especially from the female side of it, because I work with a lot of different athletes. I work with a lot of different female athletes, and all their shit's different, so it's hard. You don't want everybody to be mirrored, but you want them doing the right things that they're successful when they're swinging through it. And I think, Joanna, like you said too, like playing the mix of slow pitch growing up, I think that's kind of the same way. I could go back to baseball as a quick tweak in my swing, because I played so many years as a kid, and coming up, like slow pitch was second nature. So when I go back and play with my dad, or how my dad would play the same years my dad played as I was growing up, didn't change nothing. I could go right back into it. What do you think is key for y'all's defense on the women's side? And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I saw one of the coolest things ever watching the women's conference. And when y'all shift, it seems like you all shift in unison. It's like I don't know how long if you guys are all. I get it. Like, I'm not best friends with everybody I play ball with, especially the conference. You might go to a team and really like a few people. You get along with all your teammates, but you really like a few. Some you could, whatever you wouldn't, you don't associate with too much. But playing together on the field is what's important, because that's what you're there to do. And from the women's side, we talk about the energy y'all bring, but it seems like y'all are always in unison too, defensive wise. Like, when I see a shift, it's like y'all shift in unison. It's fun to watch. And I wanted you guys' viewpoints on that, on the defensive side.
You go.
Yeah, no, we're just waiting.
I don't know. I think a lot of it is just like reiterating on what Danny said earlier. We're like a big family, and it's no secret. Every man should know, when you get a bunch of women together, if they're around each other long enough, birds of a feather flock together. So I think a lot of that has to do with, even if a whole team of women is together for just one game. Okay, well, that second game, you're going to see, they may have just met each other that morning, an hour ago, but you're going to see the chemistry, automatically just click, because, I don't know, it sounds awful when I say we're just women, but we just adjust to what we're around. So if we see, okay, this person's doing that, okay, well, now I know, we catch on to it. So that's just what we do.
I think it's also just like, I know, like in our infield, there's a lot of communication always going on that people don't necessarily see. Like I play mostly third and short, and like we just know, like, after whether I'm playing short and my third baseman like is over there, like they know, like, hey, like if this is a situation, like this is what we're doing, like 2 strikes, like take 2 steps towards the middle. Like, it's just, I don't know. And then like Joe said, it's just like all it takes is like a game or two playing next to somebody, and it like I just guess maybe it's just women's intuition. I don't know. But it's definitely, I mean, it's definitely just like, I think there's definitely probably more communication going on that like we don't really see. And like a lot of it, I think, is just like the chemistry. I mean, this team this year, like I said, we're a first year team, but like we played in a couple One Nation events in Ohio before the duel in Florida. But like even in Florida, it was like our real first tournament together. Like you would have never known that most of us had never played together before. Like it's just like sometimes like on a team, like everything just clicks and there's just everybody just has chemistry and things just like everybody just gels so quick and everything meshes together and like it just works.
Do you think that happens more at the upper level just because you also know that you take it that way? It's more like, especially if you played, like you said, you got burnt out playing, so much fast pitching at the college level, but you're almost like your goal set. You have a goal. You're there to do a job. Like you're there so you could, it's like you can build that, you can adapt to each other and build that camaraderie because you're going after the same goal. Because I noticed like some lower levels, because we see teams change all the time, right? Locally, you see teams, they do all right or they change, especially on the women's side, because women's is tough. Like even like around here, there's a lot of tournaments, but to get a tournament that's got more than 5-6 teams, it seems like it's like pulling teeth. And then you'll see the women's teams change a lot, and it's because, well, so-and-so didn't like so-and-so, or so-and-so used to date so-and-so. And I'm like, buddy, I don't care if my teammate is dating one of my exes and he brought her to the thing and he got my kid with him or something. Like, I'm coming to win. Like, I don't want to hang out with the guy. I want to be his best friend, but I'll play ball like I'm his boy because I'm coming to win. If he's coming to win, then we're going to have some camaraderie on that field. Maybe only on that field, but it'll be on that field. The lower level, I think they have a hard time with that. And so, like, as you've played, and I know you guys played with like teams that you were, as you're coming up, teams that you had that maybe more vibe, like friends already and stuff like that. But have you seen it? Because you've obviously, as you came up too, you played against a lot of different teams. And I'm sure in your areas too, it's been the same with the women's side, with teams breaking out, forming, and everything else. But do you feel that it's easier to kind of build that camaraderie because you're so mission oriented, like when you're going into these events?
I think ultimately, to be at the level that we're at, you have to be that way. You have to get your mindset of, you know what, I might not like this girl, but she's the best second baseman that we know. We have to have her on the field. I have to play by her. That's what people don't, I guess, really need to understand is you don't have to be best friends off the field. But the minute you get on the field, and it's so cliche to say, but whenever you walk on the field together, you're a family. Like nothing else outside the gate matters. And I think that when you're at the level that we're at, you fully have to buy into that because it doesn't matter how you feel about them. You don't have a say so. You show up, you do your job, and you be a teammate because that's what you're there for.
I don't know. I honestly think, like, as crazy as it sounds, like there's so much less drama in women's softball than there is in men's. Like, I mean, it's literally like we actually just talked about it because I mean we've got I think 17 girls on our roster and like everybody gets along. Like there's no issues with anybody about anything. Like everybody just gets along. And like I've honestly I've never really, maybe it's just me personally, but like I've never really been on a team where it was like, oh, like I don't want to play with that girl. Like I'm not gonna play if she's on the team. Like we all just go out there and just there's just never really like I've just never really experienced a ton of drama in women's softball. Not like men, like we're not out there punching each other in the face and stuff. You know what I mean? Like yeah, we might like talk a little shit, but not in.
I've seen some of the best fist fights on the women's side though when it does happen. You know what I mean? Like y'all are ruthless when it does happen.
Yeah, I don't know. Like honestly, like in women's, like I've never seen anything crazy. Like maybe, like I said, maybe just a little jawing like in an intense game. But like, I mean, shit, just a couple weeks ago, it was at the Bush. Like we played probably like, I don't know if it was just like the vibe, but like we played Team 24 in the winner's bracket final. And like, it was an intense game. And like, we went back and forth with them for most of the game. And like, they ended up having like a bigger inning and putting up like 6 or 7. And like, we just kind of like gassed out a little bit towards the end. But like, it was just such an intense game the whole time. Like it was like one of those games that you just live for. Like it was under the lights. Like it was just like a whole vibe from the time that the game started. But like there was no like there was no like shit talking or like animosity. Like it was just, and like at the end of the game, like I know girls on that team, like we hugged each other in the line, like, hey, like great game. You know what I mean? It was just a battle, but like there was no like negativity, like nothing. It was just, just good competition. And like I said, it's just like one of those games that you just live for, like just the intensity and the atmosphere. And like, it was just awesome, but like nobody was like downgrading each other or anything like that. We were just all out there, like giving our all and just playing the game.
I think another thing that plays into that too is the fact that I think we all have the same mutual respect for each other because we know the grind that it took to get to the level that we're at. And there's enough people, waiting on everybody's downfall whenever they see someone doing good. So I think, and plus we don't have the whole alpha male scenario, you're more macho than him type stuff that, I've seen a lot in men's ball. I think it's just a mutual respect thing of, we've all grinded to get here.
I like that. I think a lot of it too is like I said, you guys bring a lot of energy. And energy can go back and forth, and it can go as like I played with teams coming up that just do a lot of jaw jacking, and we play in a local tournament where I played with a bunch of young guys that were the jaw jackers. And now the last couple of years we've gotten older, and we've gotten we play against some young teams that do a lot of jaw jacking, and they're all talking shit in the dugout about them. I go, buddy, why are you hating on these guys? I said, they're us like a few years ago. Like, why are you hating? Like, they're just bringing that same atmosphere and energy that we used to bring when people fucking hated your team and hated us. It's like, I mean, come on. But I think at the end of the day, it's like having Andy on there, and we talked about, it's like you flip that switch when you step between the lines, and you're coming to win, and you're going to bring in energy. And sometimes it might get heated, but that doesn't mean you want to be messing anybody up, fighting nobody, anything like that. It's just you turn it off when you walk out the dugout. You flip that switch and you turn it off. It was about competition. You're coming to win, and that's the best game we talk about T24. Like, both teams most definitely wanted to win that tournament. Both teams wanted to go at each other to win that tournament, and you went hard, and that makes for the best ball to watch because it's lights out. Everybody's giving their all to win that, and that's how you grow this. And that's where I wanted to kind of rotate into next. Like I said, because I know you got ball to play, and I'm not trying to keep you up all night with this. You got prep stuff to do and everything else. And like I said, try to keep your fiance happy too. I don't need anybody to come whoop my ass because I said when y'all do go, women fight different. I watched a chick whoop a dude's ass at a backwoods tournament, and I'm like, man, they get pissed, dude. It's a whole other level. So anyway, I've taken my couple of ass whoopings in the past. But what do you think as we're trying to grow this, right? Like I said, right here's the start. Anarchy, the signature bats. Try to give you the most time possible with doing more roundtables and highlighting more of the women athletes. And when we do that, to bring you all on to help co-host and do that. Because it's I think about promoting, but in your viewpoints, what would you like to see change, or what could be different, or what does the women's game need to grow?
I think like in a lot of cases, just visibility. You know what I mean? Like everything, like every association, like we care about the women's game. Like, no, you don't. Like, we all know, like, and it's so like they always say, oh, we care about women's, we want to grow women's. And it's like, okay, then why do we get put on the shittiest fields? Like, why do we get the shittiest umpires? Why do we like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like I said, I just think that it all comes down to visibility. And like, I get it. Like, there's more men's teams. Like, the men's bring in the money. Like, I understand. Like, the most profitable division in softball is literally men's E. Like, I understand that. You know what I mean? But it's like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of it is like visibility for the conference, and like those girls that are still playing at the lower levels, like knowing that, it's attainable. Like, we have a girl on our team this year. She's just a little baby. She's 22. And she was like, I didn't even know that this was like a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know it was a thing for quite a while. Like, after I started playing tournament ball, playing like D and stuff, like I didn't know that it existed. And like, it just seems so, like, even once I did know it existed, it just seems so unattainable. Like, oh, like there's this handful of girls, you know what I mean? And I'm not one of them. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Like, I think a lot of it like falls on people like me and Joe, like going out and like telling girls about it. Like, we have a couple girls in the Cincinnati area that do like a couple of like exclusive women's drafts every year. And like, we always try to get some of the local girls, like local conference girls in the area to come play at it. And like, just shows girls that like like we're just like you know what I mean? Like we're just some people who started playing ball, most of us in the D level, because like E didn't exist when I played D. So that's like where I started, was in D. But like just playing with them and just talking to them and like being human with them and like showing them like, hey, like we're not, like we don't think we're better than you. We're not better than you. Like we're right here playing next to you, like playing in those local tournaments and just like promoting it. You know what I mean? But ultimately, like it's so hard to find money in the women's game. Like it is so hard. And that I think is what holds a lot of people back from it, is like, this is expensive. Like, even if you are just, like I said, I mean, my team, like that, we don't have the money to pay for girls travel. So like, our hotels are paid for, which like we got to hustle to get money. Like we got to do fundraisers. Like we do have a lot of awesome sponsors that have been great to us, but like at the same time, like we've had to do some fundraisers and stuff to get stuff covered. So I think that's like one of the biggest things, is just like the money's hard to come by. And I honestly think that there would be a lot more conference teams if just like sponsorships and women's weren't so hard to find.
I think that you look at the major level, like you nailed it too. I think you look at the women's teams and build it to have more major, or the double A. It's like, well, you got to have the money there. And it's tough in the men's nowadays, but it's even harder in the women's, because if you want that best talent, so why are these teams always the ones that seem to win it at the major level or win at this level? Well, it's because they have the money to provide things for those players. And like I said, though, well, you guys look, I've seen some games that were the team that you thought was going to win it, not win it. And sometimes it's because they had provided for so much. And a team like yours is hungry. Y'all are playing because you love it. You paid to get your ass there. You are there to do something, and you ain't there to waste your time or money. So you're bringing it. And so that has its effect too, I think. We bring that up on the men's side a lot, like the Amish guys, the young Amish teams that are just coming in and making noise. Well, it's because they love the game and they give everything they got, and there's no stop. You know what I mean? There's no entitlement or I'm owed this or I deserve that. They're just out there giving 120% all the time. And it's there from y'all. And I totally agree. I think promotion, but I thought it was the same thing. Like, they get our ball dialed in. Like last year, playing at Worlds, 2 years ago, the ball was just, look at the scores. We were excited to play the GSO side of it because you finally hit a decent fucking ball. And the GSO, you go from like watching the scores 3 to 4, 4 to 5, we go to the GSO side and we're putting up 20, 30 runs a game. You're like, yeah, maybe the ball had something to do with it. They get our ball dialed in. Then I go down to watch my wife play. And we play at the same time. I go to watch her game, and they're hitting BP in the cages, and her bats sounded so good. They're hitting the crap out of them. Like, I'm excited. And a bunch of the ladies on her team were going to swing Anarchy, and then some were swinging Louisville and some other bats, and they all sounded really good. They get in the game in the first 3 swings. The bat, it sounded good. Then all of a sudden, dunk, the ball was going nowhere, and it turned into like who could hit the shortest pop up in between the defenders. And who could do that the most consistently was going to win that game, or blop it over. And a couple girls hit it hard. And we had one girl that, she smashed it. And I go, if it was any other ball, that fucking ball was out of here. And it was just so sad to see, because I'm like, girl, you are getting punished. You have teammates that are batting 1,000, hitting like shit. And you're up there smashing and getting punished. And I was like, he's got to try to find the holes better than everything else. But I said, it's just sad for that. And I brought it up. And it's like you said, it's like, well, there's not enough money in it to invest in it. So that's what investing is, like, right? How is there going to be enough money in it if you don't invest something into it to make it worth? Because to be honest, like if you ladies played at Worlds and the ball was coming off like that, playing like shit, then let's say you went to a tournament like in Albuquerque, nice complex like the one they have there. The area is not the greatest, but the complex is amazing, and you're hitting a good ball. And you're launching it, and it's coming off, and like now you're pissing on it, and it's just more fun to hit. Somebody goes, hey, in 2 weeks, do you guys want to go back down to Florida, or do you guys want to go back to Albuquerque and play? You'd be like, fuck Florida, we'll go to Albuquerque, man, right? So you got to look at it too. Like, there's a lot of teams that don't go back because it just wasn't that fun, and so then therefore you just lost money by not investing. If you would have invested a little bit more and got y'all a better ball to hit, or put some work into it, that team would go back home and go, yo, we were in Florida. What a great time. The atmosphere, the complex, the ball we hit. Oh, man, it was a great weekend. And now 2 other teams that didn't go because they're coming. And that's what I said when we talked about it on this off the side before going, like, there's so much I'd like to see do more. And I was going to bring up, I've talked to Kevin about this too, about bats, and we can get into that. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's a whole conversation that I've asked several athletes what they think. But to me, it's just weird that I'm 40 now and I get to go play over 40s and I get to swing this bat that's supposed to be like an equalizer because I'm old. I don't get to use it against other old guys, but we hit that, and a lot of times we're hitting 525 balls. But then when you go back to like playing the men's side of it, so when you get older, you get a bat that equalizes it for you or brings it back so you can hit it hard again or whatever. But yet for women's, you're expected to swing the same exact bat as the men's. I'm not saying y'all can't. Obviously, you can. But like you said about that handful when you were coming up, there's a handful of women that really have a name in the game. When you're at that level, you feel like you're one of them. Well, in some ways, there is only a handful. There's only a handful of you that could hit it out like FIFA now, like you two that got the power, like that can hit the ball out and do what you do. But most women don't. So my whole thing is why don't you all have your own standard? Why don't you have your own stamp? And you could take it back to like the 220 or whatever, and that'd be your stamp. And not saying that you couldn't still swing the U-Trip 240 bat in your association because it exceeds, you know what I mean? It's past your standard. So you could swing it. You'd be allowed to. So you'd still have your sales and everything there. You wouldn't lose that on the men's side of well, now those bats, you know, or there's not enough women that are going to buy just the women's bats. But if you made it, that's your association, that's your stamp. And that's the whole thing I was going to bring up in here. And we could talk about a little if you want, but we could say that for a round table. So I know we could get into that. And I get a lot of mixed feelings on that. But, I mean, it's up to y'all. If you want to talk about it, because, I mean, the ball is more or less what I wanted you guys' viewpoints on and how it's been performing. And then we kind of branch into that because all you guys got your own signature bats. So I don't want to crap on the association. But I think it would be cool if you all had your own stamp. That's just my personal belief.
I think the biggest thing that they could do to make the women's game, like, ultimately, like, right now, like, men and women are not playing the same game. Like, women don't have to practice bat control. Like, we get unlimited home runs in the conference. And even with unlimited home runs, like, unless you're literally Derby, like, you might see 2 or 3 home runs in a game. You know what I mean? That's if you have some powerful girls. Like, I think that women should play on like a 275-foot field. Like, versus like changing the ball or doing any of that. Like, if you put women on a 275-foot field, like, then you're going to see women have to practice bat control at that point. You know what I mean? Like, give us a limit on home runs. Like, it's just not the same game. Like, you see guys hit, you know, home runs for outs and stuff like that. Like, that's not a thing in the women's game because we don't, like, everybody at any point can just go up and free swing. Like, whether you are Derby and you've maybe hit 7 or 8 home runs in a game, or whether, you know, you're just an A team like us that might see, and we have one girl, Justine Morrison, she fucking whacks. Like, she's hit probably like 15 home runs on the year. Like, but no matter what, like, I've seen her go 4 for 4 in a game with home runs. And guess what? It doesn't matter because we have unlimited home runs. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is not necessarily changing the ball because, honestly, like, you would have to so drastically change it in order for it to make a difference. Because, like, there's some girls that even with a different ball, they're not going to clear a 300-foot fence. They just don't have the power behind them. But, like, if you bring the fence in, I mean, I've seen just about every girl at some point or another hit a ball 275 feet. You know what I mean? Like, so I think that's, in my opinion, it's not necessarily the ball. It's like, if you want to equalize the game and really make it to where we're playing the same game as men, you put us on a smaller field. It's actually something that John Williams and I have talked about before is like, you know, like, men have to play the game a completely different way that women do because, you know, you don't get unlimited home runs unless you're playing in the Smokies. But, you know, like, those games last like 3.5 hours. That doesn't even sound fun. But yeah, that's the biggest difference to me is like, it's a completely different game for women than it is for men.
I agree with that. Joe, what's your viewpoints?
No, I agree with everything she was saying. I mean, they say that the women's game is boring, and yeah, it is. You know, that's been the biggest complaint that I've seen. But like she said, we don't have to have bat control. We don't have to show that we can keep the ball in the field because we're out of home runs or, you know, things like that. The women's game, it's not boring like men say. It's just like, once again, like Danny said, we don't get 1,000,000 home runs a game to hit. And then once all of our home runs are out, okay, let's see how good of a base hitter you are. You got a 5-man. Let's see how good you can hit your gaps. So, I mean, I think that does play a big role into it, like Danny said.
I think the shorter field's a good, thing about, because I have my opinion. It's more like my opinion base was like, if we're going to play a golf tournament together, if I'm teaming from whites or the blacks, you tee from the red, right? Or it's not like it's an advantage, because there's a few women athletes I asked, like, I want an advantage. I want to swing the same thing you're swinging. I said, and I totally get that. But I also look at like how Easton had bats for years. I call it the 8-year plan. It wasn't good until about 8 years later. And that was before the Fireflex. Fireflexes were a whole different breed for the 220. But it's because they were built for Helmer. And I'm like, that's awesome. The average Joe's not Helmer. And those bats are going to not be great for those guys. And they're going to buy them because they look cool, and they're going to be selling them a week later. Or they're going to put the time. Even if you put a lot of time in and hit BP every day, they still were a motherfucker. And I go, so you can't build bats based off of like your top hitters. You got to build your bats based off of your top sales, who's buying them. And I was like, and that's where you got to more look at it. And then your top hitters are obviously going to look even better if they're swinging that, because if they're hitting a home run now they're really going to fucking put on a show. So you got to look at it hand in hand like that. But I think the shorter field brings me a good point, because little Mama Hacks, she plays in Wisconsin every once in a while at a park called Woodside, all turf complex. We play on these bigger open fields. It's ASA, but it's like 385-foot fields. The women's is down on a field that's like 265. And now you start seeing more home runs hit, and then having to put more back control hit. HROs like you're talking about. And honestly, it is more fun to see that. And it's also more fun to see their excitement when they hit a bomb or something, and they're not like, what? I don't hit home runs. Holy. Like one girl hit a home run in Cambridge. Cambridge is another complex. It's like 275. She hit a home run, and she took off her jersey, her cleats, her necklace, let it all on the plate like she was retiring. Like that was it. That's all I need. I hit one home run. I'm done. I did it. I'm out of here. I'm like, that is so funny. But I got it. I'm like, if that's something you've always wanted to do at a goal. So I like that. And that's why I ask those questions, because I'm pretty open-minded. I get my viewpoints, so I'm pretty open-minded, like hearing people's opinions. And that is a really good point, because it's something that would be a lot easier than having to change up and make a bat that's now going to pass at a certain standard, or coming up with a brand new ball, moving fences in, because you got breakaways and stuff, whatever. Bring the fences in for y'all. I think that's a really smart option. And your viewpoints behind it, now it changes the game for y'all, where you have to have the back control and work on different things, which would make it a little bit more exciting. That, and who doesn't like to see dingers, right? Like, come to a women's game, I want to see y'all hitting them. I want to see just you hitting them. As much as I love seeing the ladies of Anarchy, the ladies of smashing, I want to see a bunch of them, because I get excited when y'all hit them. Like little Mama Hacks hit one in Vegas as a walk-off and hit the top of the fence and almost went out. And I was more excited than she was. Like, oh shit. I was like, damn. And so it brings that energy to it. I appreciate that. That was a really good viewpoint. Is there anything else that you guys, because you're doing this on a regular basis, I can see it from an outsider in, things that I think would help make the game better. But is there anything else? I mean, we talked about promoting it more, right? But I'll make this statement and kind of ask you this as well, because if Whaley was here, this would be the number one, because Whaley puts on a great event every year. His Monster Bash is awesome. I support him on the Texas 5 side of things, go there and commentate and broadcast and all that. But he's fought so hard to bring women's teams in. And one of his biggest things, and he gets kind of salty because he's trying to help build the program. You have to participate in it too, these events. When they're out there and somebody's trying now, because, right, the biggest thing is that they're not investing enough into the program. Then when somebody does invest, you have to try to take part of it and take advantage of that and be there. And which Amanda Waugh put on here, she had a couple really good ones about y'all adapting to your surroundings, hence why y'all come together and play so well together. But trying to get young girls on the field is so tough. Like trying to keep the game alive and growing for the future, it's tough right now. And that's where I'm kind of getting at with the participation. So what's your viewpoints on that? How do you, like, we talked about it with the promoting side of it, but what do you think we need to do to keep the game going, like with more younger players coming up and getting them there and with that side of things?
I think it kind of just goes in line with what I said earlier. Like, I think that, players like me and Joe and like us that play in the conference, like, I think that it falls on us to try and put ourselves out there and like play in local events if we can, you know what I mean? And they do make it as hard as possible for you to be able to play in local events. Like they want to, you know, move your ranks up and then you can't play and then people complain about it if you do play. So like it's hard, but like at the same time, like, you know, whenever you see those like drafts are a great way to get out. Like I know the most recent women's draft was back in June, and Mullen and I did a bat demo there. We set up on one of the fields. Like I talked with the director and I was like, hey, like, would you be able to block off some time for us to do like an Anarchy demo while we're there? And like, just like having the chance, like to like, I just stood there and like, just talked with so many of the girls, you know what I mean? And like, just like getting like the word out there. But yeah, I think that so much of it just like falls on us that do play at the higher level to be approachable and like, like I said, just like show them that like we're human, like we're here because we love the game just like you are. Like just because we play A or B or whatever, like doesn't make us any better than you. It just means that for most of us, like I know for me, it was just in the right place at the right time, got seen by the right person. Like that's all it takes. You know what I mean? Just, you know, playing against people or with people or whatever a couple times and them seeing that consistency and being like, hey, like this girl's got what it takes to get to the next level. But yeah, I think most of it falls on us that already do play at this level.
I couldn't agree more. I think it does definitely take us being approachable and personable and speaking to, you know, younger girls and just letting them know, like Danny said, we're human. We were in your shoes, you know, not too long ago. Keep up what you're doing, and like you don't know when your opportunity is going to come. You just got to be ready whenever it does.
I think one of the things too is, you know, there's a lot of fast pitch programs out there, right? A lot of schools, a lot of programs, a lot of city teams and stuff like that. And for example, Scott Brown had he's got PhD sports up here on P5 sports, but he had PhD. It was not too far from my house. We played a lot of hit tracks tournaments, went there a lot. I helped him out, worked off and on for him, helping him out. And he had a lot of fast pitch programs go through there. And one day there was a girl that was going through some training or whatever. And she looked a little down, so I just asked her if she's all right. And she's just like, you know, just softball's almost over for me, and I don't really have any offers for college or whatever. And she's like, it's sad that I'm gonna be done with the game. I said, well, I wouldn't count your chickens before their hatch. It's like, you know, you could be a walk-on somewhere. I wouldn't give up on it. But, you know, I just want to let you know there is more softball out there. And I told her about slow pitch, and she's like, oh, that's my dad played and stuff. That's all right. I said, no, I'm not talking about like where your dad played. I'm talking about 4 women, and it's competitive, and it gives you that college vibe. And I was like, you're most definitely going to feel that same energy and that same mission, goal-oriented, like it's competitive. And yeah, you might have to work to get there. But if you had talent here and this and that, and somebody missed out on you, I said, we have a lot of guys that came out of baseball on the men's side of it. And some of them were guys that played in the MLB. Some of them guys were guys that got missed out on. And they're some of the best. They're better than some of the guys that played in the MLB that play slow pitch. And she was so excited about it. And then she's like telling friends about it. And then I had more girls come over and ask me about it. And I'm like, yeah, there's women's slow pitch. Like, it's the thing. Like when you get out, if you have any issues, you know, hit me up. I'll most definitely direct you in the right, you know, put you in the right direction. And it's a lot of, like you said, a lot of people don't know about it. Like, I didn't even know this is a thing, right? You got to go, I didn't even know this is a thing. They don't, you know, and that goes to show you that the education and being there and y'all being available to go to those tournaments and do that, to not just do the back demos, but just to make time. You know, somebody put a post not too long ago, what sells bats, right? Advertising. Is it, you know, deals? Is it raffles? Is it this and that? I think it's being available. You know, like being available to the people is a bigger impact than you know. Like taking the time to go to an event that you're not even playing in, to talk about the bats and show them off, or the people try them, and just have conversations with those people. That is how you grow it. And I think that's how you get more sales, is by being approachable and by being available for people. And like, just they listen to this. Like I've told people all the time, I love the direction that we've gone with Anarchy. I think the people that we brought in are the right people, 100%. We had a lot of changes here, right? A lot of change. But I think it was all for the good. And the people that we have now, as my co-host would say, is there's a lot of people that want to drink from your cup. There's very few that look to add to it. And the people that we have are not only people that are taking advantage of the opportunities that Anarchy are giving them, but we view it as an investment, and we're also there to fill their cup back up too, and say thank you. Like, hey, we're earning this, and you ladies are most definitely earning it. You have earned it, and I know you're going to keep earning it. You guys got your bats with you? That's one of the things that we didn't bring up right away. Do you guys have your bats with you on hand? you show them off a little bit?
Yeah, let me go grab it. Hang on.
Yeah.
Mine's in the car.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
We talk about your bag, you leave the car? That's all good. I'll have to share some more pics. And I know there's a couple people that they're blowing me up in here. They're actually in here. Both Amanda Waugh and Wade Waugh. They're my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law. They both love your bats. They both almost the same time with me. I want when it came to both your bats. So I was like, it's pretty awesome. I'm glad they're in here. But that's why I wanted to ask. I said, we can't go live talk about your bats that did not show them off. We've done it with everybody else's. And I know with these two being in here, they most definitely want to see them.
Yeah, if I was at home, I have like 4 of them sitting at home. But yeah, the only one that I have with me is down in the parking lot in the car.
I guess we know which one's going to be the top seller tonight. No. I'm sorry.
The only reason I have mine is because I am home. Tomorrow I am playing a local benefit tournament. So that's why I have mine. But here she is.
God, that's just clean. Ooh, those graphics. That purple. Oh, our graphics team has been killing it this year and like taking the direction. You know, you could tell somebody kind of what you want or your viewpoints, but they've been just nailing it. Like it looks so good. I love it.
They definitely did their thing, that's for sure. And then the phases of the moon on the handle. That's what's
been getting me. And I know y'all get excited about senior bats, but in that, even the handle, like this is the little things that there's stuff I look at some of the bats that we've had, and as I'm looking at them, you know, even if it's just like some of the demos, like the people have put BP on, so I'm checking them, you know, seeing how they're doing for seaming or webbing or whatever, and I'll catch something in the bat that I didn't catch before, like little artistic things that they add in that I'm like, man, I didn't see that before. That's cool. I didn't realize that was there. Or like even when we had Nate Buck on, I didn't realize that he had the ghost smoke until he pointed out on his bat. I kept seeing him online and looking like, he did a really great job. I like how that looks. It's clean. And then he showed me the ghost smoke. I was like, I didn't even notice that. That's sick. You know, so I love it. Like just seeing like all the little details they've put in and doing those kind of like almost like little spoilers and hidden things. It's awesome. And I wish you had your bat because yours is so sick too, but it's okay. It's all right, I guess. So the Heavy Ladies on here for a while. We talked about quite a bit. Is there anything else that you want to make sure we touch base on before we wrap it up? Because like I said, I want to have you both back on again. We'll do some round tables. And then as I'll ask you this, if you see, because we got to highlight this, we got to promote the game. If there's another female athlete out there that has been killing it, doing a great job, that needs their opportunity to shine, we need to highlight them a little bit and talk the game with them. Message me. Let's make it happen. And then if you want to come on and co-host with me, come on and co-host with me. I'd love to have that. I always love having that other point of view on here. And I think it's important, especially for Big Daddy Hacks Live, to have a female co-host would be awesome. I think that's something that I haven't done yet. So that'd be pretty sick. But is there anything that you want to make sure we touch base on for the women's side of the game, for Anarchy, for your bats, for any of that before we close it out?
I mean, I'm good. I got a room full of people that are ready to go to bed, honestly, but because we're an hour ahead of you guys, so it's almost 10 here.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
But I did just want to say thank you for reaching out to us. I've been shocked. Like this year, I'd never been on a podcast before. I've been on like a handful of them this year, so it's been fun. It's been an experience. But I did want to say just like thank you for taking the time to talk women's and promote the game. And I know we talked about it a little bit when you messaged us, but I think this makes all the difference in the world. Just getting the word out there, especially you said your wife plays, so just putting it in front of people so that they can see it's not unattainable for anybody. Like if you're willing to put the work in and you're willing to do what you need to do, like you can get to the level that you want to play at, however far you want to take it. So from my side, I definitely just appreciate you taking the time and a whole section of your podcast just to dedicate specifically to us and women at the women's game in general.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Just going off what Danny said, absolutely. Thank you for, like we said, using your platform to let us, come on and talk about our bats and talk about the women's game, because it's not every day that women get this opportunity. So absolutely, thank you. Can't be said enough for allowing us to come on here and talk about it with you.
I appreciate you both. And it's something that I've been talking about wanting to do. I want to do a women's roundtable a while ago and bring from each two. So doing this for Anarchy side of things is huge because this is the first time Anarchy, unless I'm wrong, it's the first time that we've done this for our female athletes. And I think it's awesome. And to have these two signature bats, not only like a first, but like to have them turn out as sick as they did and represent you both. And then the videos and just the package, like you guys sent me to make the video, I'm just like, just seeing your style playing, I said, we got the right people. And then just feeling out, because I check, I'll look, because you sent me some, and I went to Facebook to see if I can pull another couple photos and stuff, and you see things, and you get to learn about each other a little bit more. And I'm like I said, as the brand and as being a part of Anarchy for 4 years now and growing with it, we have such great people that we brought in, and we have the right people. And y'all are a prime example of that, just by how you play, how you give back to the community. And we brought up this year with internally about the grassroots, getting back to that. And number one is the people. Like you don't have a brand, you don't have a company without it. And you all are doing a great job of giving back and filling that cup back up, and not just drinking from it, And also for the women's side of the game, it's long overdue. And I know Rhino and I have talked about this as well, because he 100% agrees with me, and he wants to highlight it more as well, that we need to make the time. We can't just talk about it. Say, yeah, it's important. We need to put more time in that. No, we got to do it. Make more time for it and put it out there, because it is important. And y'all have a great platform as well. And I think there's just opportunity for it to grow and get even bigger with that energy, and then show the women that are coming up that it is doable. You got to want it, and you got to want it, because we need to keep growing it and make it even bigger. Right. And so I appreciate you all making the time. Like, you got ball to play your hour ahead. I was thinking you were an hour and ahead. I'm so sorry for keeping you up late. You got work to do tomorrow. You got to put in that work. I play locally tomorrow, so I'm just like, hey, whatever, So like I said, get back to the community. So, but I love both of y'all's energy, and it'd be awesome to do a round table to have both y'all on, and then maybe take turns as we bring some other female athletes in and take turns with you, each taking a turn co-hosting with me. If y'all be interested in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Just holler at us. Let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I appreciate you, and good luck tomorrow in both your tournaments. And you get some footage of those bats sounding off, share them so we can highlight it and put it out there. Like I said, that's the biggest thing too, is like, you get some video, share it on Big Daddy Hacks Live, because I'll make a comment about it and talk about it. So
sure. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, there you go. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining with Joehanna and Danyelle. Talk about two women that can absolutely smash the ball, the energy they bring to the field, and what they do for Anarchy. I mean, one of our biggest goals, we're finding the right people, right? And I think Kevin and the rest of the owners, Chad and all of them, they did a great job this year of putting this together with what we have for a crew, especially our female athletes. And those two right there are just prime example. Their signature bats are awesome looking. They're two of the best looking bats that we've made. And like I said, they might have women's names on it, but all the boys are going to want them. And that's because of how good they are and how sick they look. And that says a lot, because it's not about, well, mine's better than yours is better than mine. It's about wanting to be a part of what they're doing, right? And that's huge. And I think the graphics right there make everybody want to be a part of those bats. Also, who those bats represent, because as you got to learn and get to know them a little bit tonight, you see that they're awesome, right? They bring the right energy. They're out there giving back to their community. They're making time for the local athletes and letting them know that this is doable and that you can do it. You just got to want it. You got to work at it. But it is a process. It's not just, hey, snap the fingers and you're there. Right time, right place, but also right work and doing the right things and consistency. And we talk about a lot. We have a lot of the male athletes on here, and we have a great time. I love chopping up a taco ball, as y'all can tell. I might ask a question and go a little long sometimes because I get excited about what I'm asking. But to have our women athletes on here and get it from them, I think that's also how we grow the game, because I have a lot of women viewers that watch this. And to keep hearing me talk about it's one thing. To hear it come from somebody that they can replicate, that they can look up to, that they can say, okay, she did it, I can do it. I think that's huge. And we got to give them the time, because they most definitely deserved it, and we got to make the time for it. And I look forward to doing that here in the future and bringing more of our women athletes on. And like I said, if you're watching this, and you don't have to be a part of Anarchy, like I said, Big Daddy Hacks is, I'll bring anybody on and talk with them, interview them. And if they got something they want to say, if they're doing something in the game, if they're making things better, if they're going to leave this game better than they found it, I want to have them on. Let's talk about it. But do I show a little bit more love to my Anarchy? Yeah, I mean, kind of got to. No, I'm just playing. When I use this, I try to be equal with it. But when it comes to our bats, there's no equal, just better. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to wrap it up there. Look forward to seeing all the locals out at Crystal Frolics tomorrow. good luck, ladies, at your tournament. I hope you kill it, and I can't wait to see some footage of you all just absolutely smashing with your new bats. I'm gonna have to try to get a couple of those in, and so that way everyone can see them and check them out and see what they're all about. And just even seeing it on video, the Moonchild it's dirty looking. I love it. It just pops. So anyway, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for showing the ladies that respect and giving me your attention. It means a lot. And let's grow it together. You know, all aspects of the game. Doesn't matter what association you're playing. Doesn't matter, you know, where you're playing. But let's grow it. Let's leave it better than we found it. With that, Big Daddy Hacks out. Swing Anarchy. We're probably going to lose. Later.